crit, you hit your thing, and then you have Pyro Blast. I could talk to you for fucking hours. I really could. So, how long have you been married? But I want to talk more about, you talked about finally getting sucked in, and how there was a small community, you found the people you jive with. Did you have anyone from outside of the real world that was your senpai?
Someone who just kind of taught me the ropes?
Yeah.
Well, I think that mainly it was people who just kicked my ass, right?
Yeah.
Like, I definitely had a moment where I realized that was shit, Like, you enter a raid and then you face off against someone who, like, let's say they play the same class, same spec, they've got the same gear, and you just get put in the dirt and you're like, okay, I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I need to figure out what that is and fix it. And it's always a fun learning experience, especially when you play with people who are really, really good, right? Like a lot of the people in the guild who I play with now. They do stuff and I'm like, okay, wait, hold up. I need to go look at all these logs. I got to figure out what I'm doing wrong. I got to basically reevaluate this whole thing. Because if you ever get stuck in a thought process where you think that you're the expert and you know everything, I mean, you're just gonna go into a nosedive, right? Like you have to constantly be in the mindset of how do I improve, or else you're gonna fall behind. How much better of a player do you become just based on the fact that you were surrounded by the best players all the time? I would say that is, unless you're a very, very self-driven person who just automatically is like, oh yes, I'm always gonna be looking at logs, I'm gonna be extremely proactive, right? Unless you're that guy, if you don't play with good players, you're never gonna improve. Yeah. So I would say it's the most important thing. I gotta stop queuing Hellfire, dude. For somebody who's like newer, and they're trying to take stuff up to the next level, how would you tell them to actually read a log, to try to gather that information and actually play the spec in the best way that they can with the information that's presented to them? Yeah, so I definitely think that the ability to read logs is its own kind of skill set that you have to learn. I would say that one of the most important things you can do kind of starting off is if your class has a good, theory crafting community, start with them just to get the basics, and then afterwards kind of look at what other people are doing. If you're trying to figure out what a specific player is doing, then your best bet's going to be looking at the events, the casts in the log, right? Just literally detail it, like have the readout of the combat log, like, okay, he pressed fireball here and then meteor here and that sort of thing. And you just got to look at it line by line to kind of piece it all together. Yeah. Speaking of those spells, obviously spells that you're probably going to be casting throughout the duration of the race. Pretty high skill ceiling. Would you say that fire is one of the higher skill ceilings right now? Yeah, I think that it kind of ebb and flows. Like fire it gets just really, really easy a lot of the time, and then you throw in other things like on-use items. You throw in like the new crucible. You throw in like extremely high haste, and then suddenly it's like during specific windows your APM just goes insane. Yeah. Like during combustion, right, with full haste and the trinkets that you're using, all the items and the bracers from Mechagon, that sort of stuff. I don't know really, I haven't really kept up with any alts this expansion, so I don't know where we are in relation to other classes, but from what I hear, it's pret's complicated compared to the others, so I think just based on that, I'd say yeah. I watched you play, I was just like, holy shit, this dude's a demon. This dude's actually Satan. It's insane. Like the amount of stuff that you have put together, especially when it comes to Azure traits, like you said, it feels like this raid too for mages is like a tipping point as far as haste is concerned, as far as some of these other secondary stats are concerned, and it feels like you can just do stuff that you haven't been able to do before. And with all of that taken into account, do you think the mage might just be the specialization that comes out as the MVP and absolutely fries? I think it all depends on what Blizzard decides, right? It all depends on what tuning goes into effect Heroic Week, because we've all kind of gotten into this, we've all kind of gotten into the rhythm of, okay, we know what's good now, what's going to be good, right? And what's going to get nerfed. Yeah. I feel like Fire was definitely getting way too close to the sun. They nerfed the passive on the Essence there. I think that maybe helps. Hopefully, because there was a small nerf, we won't get nerfed again. The Lucid one? Right, yeah, the Lucid Dreams. So I think that that's a good sign. Usually having the small nerf happen right before is a good sign. But sometimes, I mean, you can just get tricked, and then, a class can just be useless on the boss that you were prepping to work with. So, yeah. But I do think that Fire is going to be pretty good. I think Frost will also do really well once the Raid Azerite essence is available to players as well.
Okay. Last question. Do you think the raid is going to be close?